Hi everyone, I'm Johnny, and in this video I'll show you what's inside the high poly baked map packages and how you can use them to create your own skins on a clean canvas. What you're looking at is a Blender Cycles render of Valve's low poly model with my baked normal and ambient occlusion maps. As you can see, this model is clear of any default textures, text, scratches and other details that come with Valve default normal maps. Making this was a requirement for me, since the materials I want to use already have height information and texture details I want to control and customize. I also wanted to be free to design my own grips in Substance Painter with its own custom height information. You'll find many weapons to choose from in my Ko-Fi store, with new ones added regularly based on polls from my X account. If you'd like to request a specific model, visit X and cast your vote. All links are in the description below. Now let's get into the contents of the file you'll get. Unzip the file and these are the folders you'll find. For a fast start, you can open the project inside the folder Substance Painter 3D that already has the baked normal and ambient occlusion maps applied, as well as all the other maps that you bake inside Substance Painter. Now, as you may know, to create a CS2 skin with Substance Painter, you need to use a template to set up your project and export the right texture maps to the workshop. This template is available for download in the description along with the installation instructions. This template was created by Zombie and can be found on the CS Tools Discord resources section. I strongly encourage you to join this community as it is the best CS2 skin creation channels you'll find, where you can showcase your skins, whips, access resources and get help from pretty much everyone. Now let's start a project from scratch using our files. Click File, New, and if you installed the template files, you should now see CS2 template in this drop-down menu as an option. Click Select and let's get our split model FBX file from our project folder. Select 4K for the resolution and make sure we are using OpenGL. Expand Import Baked Maps and go to the HP Maps folder to get our high poly bakes. We need to select both the normal and ambient occlusion map. I'll change the view to perspective to get a better view of the model. Now, I'll delete the layer that comes by default, add a folder and a fill layer inside it for the base color. In the material properties, turn on roughness and metallic and push the metallic value all the way to 1. We haven't applied our normal and AO maps yet, so what you're looking at is the low poly model that by default has no normal details and it shows many shading issues. Let's change our environment alignment to camera so that the light is always aligned with our view. This way, we don't need to keep adjusting the light every time you rotate the model. Activate shadows if you want and set its quality. We are ready to select our HP maps we imported when creating this project. In the texture set settings, select the normal map for the normal map slot and the AO map for the ambient occlusion slot. As you can see, our model is now free of any shading issues, clean surfaces and perfect bevels on all parts. Next step is to bake all the other maps we need in order to generate the necessary information for our generators and other features inside Substance Painter. You can press F8 to go into the baking screen. Select 4K for the output size and super sampling 16 times. Unselect the ambient occlusion map since we already imported it to the project. And activate the ID map. In the curvature map, bump the secondary rays to 256 and in the self-intersection, only same mesh name. Let's do the same for the thickness and bent normals. Now that everything is set up correctly, we can click the button to bake selected textures. This process can take a while since we are using the maximum number of rays to generate our maps, and it will also depend on your computer specs. Once finished, we can return to painting mode. If we now go to our texture set settings, we can see all our baked maps, and we are ready to start creating our skin. Inside the project files, I also included Valve default normal and AO maps. So let's do a quick comparison between the HP baked maps and Valve defaults. One of the things that bothers me the most is the grip, mostly because it's one of those parts that I like to design my own and bake new geometry for it. In many cases, you can try to edit the normal map in Photoshop and clean these textures, but because they are on curved surfaces, it's pretty much impossible to get a good result. To apply Valve's normal map, you can simply drag the file from your project folder to the normal map slot, and do the same for the ambient occlusion map. Now, with Valve Maps, not only you get this texture on the grip, you also get all the texts and textures that you may not want to use when creating your project. So for me, it is essential to have a clean canvas to work with, and this was the reason I decided to create these clean high poly bakes. It really depends on each model, but in the case of the M4A1-S, the stock texture was also a big no-no for me. The handguard on this model and also on the M4A4 has too many scratches and imperfections that limits the options when choosing a new material for this part. Also, for some reason, Valve comes with lots of shading issues, as you can see here in the lower receiver, that I had to address when creating the high poly model. This attention to detail is present on all models I worked on, but the advantages of getting a high poly bake package does not stop here. The FBX model you imported to this project is separated into multiple parts. This means you can use this feature in your workflow to work on specific parts without having to use an exploded model. Let's create a new folder and isolate the handguard. Click on the square in the new folder, then on the handguard and invert the selection. Click on your layer again and then on the eye icon at the top. Name your layer, and now everything inside this folder will only affect this part. With this layer selected, you can always toggle the eye button on and off. This allows you to work on specific parts without having to worry about other parts that connect to it. Let's add the material inside this folder. As you can imagine, you can create as many folders as you like, add and remove parts from these folders, hide and show the parts you want, or choose any other workflow you like. Included in your project files, you'll also find a Blender file with the split model and baked maps. This file is not really important unless you want to bake other details from Blender or combine the default normal maps with my HP baked maps. You can also split the model differently and export the model in different formats. And with this, we wrap our first tutorial on my HP baked maps. If you still need help with anything regarding these maps, just write a comment so I can help you, or even create a more detailed tutorial about it. Enjoy your maps and have fun creating!